Hello everybody and welcome. My name is KingStix and today I'm going to be showing you Blitzcrank. By the end of this video you should have a pretty good understanding of what Blitzcrank does and how to play him. Also, the skills that you're going to learn in this video will translate pretty well over to other hook champions such as Thresh and Nautilus, so once you've pretty much learned one of them you'll at least be decent with the rest of them. Alright, so let's just jump into it. Starting it off, let's talk about what Blitzcrank does. Blitzcrank is a hyper-aggressive support who excels in getting quick picks and roaming around the map and putting his teammates ahead in that sense. Alright, for your abilities on Blitzcrank, your Q is your rocket grab, it's your infamous hook. Blitzcrank fires his right hand in the targeted direction, pulling at the first enemy it hits and stunning them for 0.5 seconds and dealing magic damage. It actually does a good amount of damage. You're going to be taking this level 1 and maxing it first. At level 2, you're going to be taking your Power Fist, which is your E. It simply just knocks the enemy up. It empowers your next auto attack. It does double damage. It's pretty strong. It's essentially what you use right after you hook them to keep them in place and to do a lot of damage. Your W is your overdrive. You will be taking this at level 3 and maxing it second. It's just a good speed up. It gives you a movement speed boost and attack speed boost. The movement speed boost does decay over time, and it does slow you at the end of it. So ideally what you're going to be using it for is for roams and for getting there quickly to land a hook or to get in there and pill for a carry. You can also use it in 2v2s and team fights for the attack speed bonus to help punch people to do some damage. And your ultimate is static field. It has two parts to it. The active will simply detonate a static field, dealing magic damage to every nearby enemy around Blitzcrank and silencing them for 0.5 seconds. This is really good for stopping channels like Annavi's ult and Philsick's ult. It's also good in general for doing damage and just silencing enemies, stopping them from using spells. It can also be good if someone like Rengar jumps in because he tries to do his full combo and use all the spells. If you ult him, then it kind of fucks him. The good thing to note is Blitzcrank's ult has a passive. While his ultimate is currently ready to use, Blitzcrank fires a lightning bolt at a random nearby visible enemy every 2.5 seconds, dealing magic damage. This is a really good tool in 1v1 situations or extended fights, because your ultimate has a relatively long cooldown, especially in its early levels. So if you save your ultimate and just let the passive do damage, it can help you out to secure a lot of kills. Blitzcrank takes some simple runes of masteries. He doesn't take any scalings, so making his rune page is really quite simple. All you're going to need is at least 2 movement speed quintessences. For me personally, I like taking 2 movement speed quintessences and then 1 attack damage quintessence. The reason for that is your E does a lot of damage, especially because it does double your base attack damage. So for example, the extra 2.3 attack damage that you took is going to be an extra 4 damage with your E. It doesn't seem like a lot, but in the early game, whenever you're trying to secure a kill, that extra damage is going to make a pretty big difference. So for your Quints, I suggest taking 2 movement speed Quints. It'll help you land your hook and close distances. 1 attack damage Quint. You can take a 3rd movement speed Quint if you want. It's just my preference. For your marks, you're going to take flat AD. Like I said, it's going to help out your E quite a bit. For your seals, you're going to take flat armor seals. And for your glyphs, you're going to take flat AP glyphs. This whole rune page is centered around getting picks and being very strong in the early game so you can snowball your lane and roam around the map. Alright, for your masteries, it's a little bit more exciting. It's really aggressive. You're going to be taking Thunderlord's Decree. It's really self-explanatory. You want to be strong in the early game, so if you land a hook, all you're going to have to do is land a hook, 1 auto attack and an E, and you get off your full Thunderlord's proc, which leads you into your next part, which is your summoners. You're going to want to take Flash and Ignite. The whole reason for the Ignite is really so you can win your lane easily. It's a lot of extra damage, and it's just overall more useful on Blitzcrank for the most part than Exhaust. You can take Exhaust, but I wouldn't suggest it unless the enemy team has multiple assassin champions like a Rengar and Talon, because really Ignite is just really good. Ignite is really the better summoner to take on Blitzcrank. You can experiment with Ghost. Ghost is really strong right now because they buffed it recently. It has a lower cooldown and it's stronger. Ghost is a really good summoner. It does make sense to take on Blitzcrank, especially if you intend on roaming. In lane, Ghost won't really be that good, but if you're going to roam a lot, it'll probably be pretty damn strong. So yeah, you guys might want to tinker around with that. For Blitzcrank's items, you're just going to start off with the Relic Shield 9 times out of 10 with 3 potions and a Warding Totem. I know it only shows 2 potions there, but trust me, you want 3. And then on your first back, you really typically want to get the Tarragon's Embrace. It's going to give you more gold, more health, and more health for your ADC. After that, I'd like to rush boots of mobility and then get my warding item. If you don't intend on roaming whatsoever, then just go straight for your Sightstone. Also, try to get your Oracle's Lens as soon as you can, which is level 9. So for your optional slash situational items, I suggest the Locket. You're going to get this if the enemy team has 1 or more AP on their team. It's going to give you a big shield, health, magic resist, really everything you need, plus with the big shield, it also applies to your teammates. For an item, I usually suggest you getting every time's Dead Man's Plate. It's going to give you a lot of movement speed, health, and armor. So if they have any AD on their team, so 2 or more AD, get Dead Man's Plate. It's going to give you also movement speed, which is really nice for landing your hooks. If they have 1 or more crit champ on their team, I suggest you get Raynoon's Omen. You get an AoE slow plus the 10% reduction on critical strike damage. Also, lots of health. Getting Frozen Heart is also good on Blitzcrank. I only do it if they have 2 or more AD on their team. And if you want, you can upgrade your warding item into the base of the mountain for the shield for your ADC. Only do it if your ADC is good, or if you're really poor, you just want the extra wards, get the other support item. And if you're just sticking around, you can get the tier, Lichbane, and Luden's Echo, some AP stuff. I do not suggest doing that in ranked. If you're playing some normals with your friends, it's fun to dick around and buy those kind of items because you'll be doing insane damage when you land a hook. But like I said, in ranked, don't build that. That's pretty much it for your items. 9 times out of 10, you are going to want to invade with Blitzcrank. You're always going to want to start your Q so you can get that hook. The enemies usually don't expect it, and usually in lower elo and in solo queue, people won't be ready for the invade, and you'll almost always be able to pick up some free kills. In the early game, when you are level 1, you do have to be mindful as Blitzcrank because you're not stronger than every enemy support, especially with someone like Karma. Karma gets to start with her ultimate and an ability, so in that situation, they way out damaged us, they way out traded us, and there wasn't a lot I could do. I pulled her, she just ult and Q'd and did way more damage than I could possibly do, simply because she gets to start with 2 spells and I only get to start with 1. Your level 2 is a huge power spike, so keep an eye on your experience bar. It's right next to your character portrait. When you see that you're about to hit level 2, walk forward and you're going to want to land your knock up and then a hook into it. It's typically safer to do knock up then hook, that way you won't miss your hook. If they do back away from you though, when you hit level 2, you are going to have to use your hook and then your knock up. Here Karma steps up way too far, so I simply auto attack her and then E. Your E is an auto attack reset, so you can just auto attack E and you get a lot of extra damage. Here Lucian does follow me into the bush, so I just auto attack then immediately E, Q, auto attack. You want to space out your spells and your auto attacks to get off maximum damage. Bear in mind, like I said, your E is an auto attack resetter, which means after you auto attack with very little delay, and it's much faster than waiting for another auto attack. It's typically easiest to hook the enemies when they're way behind their minions like this and you just walk up past your minions, because whenever they're in their minions, they can just simply walk behind the minion and the minion will block your hook. So what you saw there, just walk past the minion, landed a hook, E'd, got some easy damage, establishing some dominance. With that being said, as an enemy laner, they tend to try to stay behind their minions, and whenever they see they have a minion, they're not afraid of your hook. So whenever a minion is really low, like what you saw there, you want your AD carry to last hit it right as you're throwing out your hook, so the enemies have no time to react. So your hook goes past the minion since it just died as you're doing your animation, and you land a free hook. But in this case, I fucked it up because Graves was actually reloading at the time and I didn't see it, so I just wasted my hook. You always want to be looking for opportunities to hook the enemy. Here I'm just BMing them to try to throw them off and make them play aggressive on me. Karma's a little bit out of position and she's pincering herself in between the wall and the turret. I just walk forward, throw out a hook. It's super easy. That's honestly the best time to hook them, is whenever they're in between the tight side of the turret and the wall, like you saw there. There's no place for her to juke in that scenario because she's between a wall and a turret. I mean, she has nowhere to move. And even if she walks forward, if I just move slightly to the right and throw out a hook, she can't dodge it. Whenever you're in a bit of a pinch and low on HP, if you're getting ganked, just flee to the bush. Usually it's not warded, so it'll throw off their auto attack animations. And when they get close to it, you can just simply knock them up. They'll be stunned and knocked up, and they won't be able to fight back. So we just picked up another free kill on Nocturne, wasted a gank, and he's very low on health. Here I was typing to my teammates about Nocturne, about what happened, and I ended up actually missing him by a little bit. But like what you saw there, for some reason, enemies love to put themselves in the pincer spot. Nocturne put himself in between the wall and the turret. It would have been a free pull. I can just simply W to get up there, get fast, maybe even tank a turret shot to get within farther range. As he moves back, I'll just hook, and there's nothing you can do. Once you've won bot lane, or if nothing's happening at all, you can try to roam. I wouldn't suggest trying to roam until you have boots, but once you do roam, it's quite simple. You just W to get up to them. You typically don't want to throw out a hook yet because they're trying to juke it like what you saw there. they basically will just juke themselves to death. So you're just gonna wait until they walk up to hit a minion. So you can tell the mid laners will walk forward and backwards when they're hitting minions. And so once they move backwards, that's when you want to go in, because then right when they click backwards, that means they're about to go forward to hit the minion. So I see Victor move back. So as he's already clicking to move forward and he's already on the minion, I'm pretty much already on him since I use my W to speed up. He's constantly trying to juke. I'm like, fuck you, knock him up, hook his ass, silence him, and he's donezo. Since bot lane's won and I've won mid lane at this point, now I can just rotate top. I come up to him, knock him up, hook, silence. Gangplank is actually doing a lot of damage right now. I make the mistake of throwing out my hook because I was cocky, and he actually ends up dodging it. It gets into a bit of a messy situation. I did still have my ignite though, but in the end it turned out well. The moral of the story is, towards the end there, I shouldn't have wasted my hook the second time. I should have just chased after him a little bit until he ran himself out of space. Try to be mindful of where you're putting your wards. There's a lot of situations where you can get off a lot of free kills like what you see here, because people love to walk there. Note how I haven't actually used my ult yet, and I've actually used my passive on my ult twice on her. It's the static charge that will randomly hit a nearby enemy around me every 2.5 seconds. So I got a lot of extra free damage on her, and I still had my ult to secure the kill if she was going to flash or do something weird. If you do get really far ahead, and if it's mid-late game, you can start doing stuff like this. Just come up behind the enemies, W towards them to speed up. Just knock them up, hook, silence, and they'll be fucked. This is to show you guys what a loose fight will look like in the mid and late game. If they're ever chasing after teammates, you're just going to W to get to them, judging by your speed. You're just going to run up to them, knock them up like what you saw there, hook and silence them, hook them, and then use your ultimate to silence them. And you probably should secure the kill. There I kill Lucian, and it's just Nocturne, and I see Graves coming up from behind, so I'm going to kind of bait him a little bit. So I'm just going to keep BMing him by clicking B, acting like I'm recalling, like I'm just going to let him kill me. So I just keep backing up towards Graves. Graves gets there and I hook him and knock him up. Victor gets way too close. I flash, knock his ass up. I didn't even have to use my hook. I just flash ulted. Note how I waited till my W is up till I engaged on him like that. Because if I didn't have my W, I wouldn't have any way to close the gap, and I'd just be wasting my flash or hoping to get a lucky hook. There's other situations behind the turret wall pinch where you can get free hooks. Like here, Gangplank positions himself in between the wall, so I can throw out my hook in a mid-range hitbox. I can throw out my hook essentially just close enough to the wall to where if he hugs it, he's still going to get hooked, but I also want to have it out far enough to where if he jukes, it's still going to hook him. So essentially, Gangplank fucked himself by hugging the wall, because then there's really no way for me to miss because he has nowhere to juke to. The only way he can juke is left, because if he jukes away from me, so if he jukes essentially northeast, then he's going to get hit by the length of my hook. And if he jukes to the left, he's going to get hit by my hook's hitbox. And if he doesn't move at all, he's just going to get straight up railed. Pink wards and blue ward trinkets are a great way to get free kills, because a lot of times whenever enemies see a pink ward or a blue trinket ward, they'll be really greedy and try to break it, even if it's risky, because they just see it and they're like, oh, I'm going to kill it and help my team out by getting rid of the enemy's vision, and I'm also going to get gold from killing it. So enemies will just be really greedy whenever they can see a ward, visibly actually see a ward. So just keep that in mind, because usually you can just set it up pretty obviously like that and just pick up some free kills. Remember, you're playing Blitzcrank. You're one of the troll ace champions there is, so you can set up free kills just by trolling around a little bit like what you saw there. If you are going to do something of that nature, you have to think of the obvious. For example, there I was low health, so I knew Lucian was going to be greedy and want to kill me. So what I did was I simply faced away from him. So I didn't let him see me face away from him. I was already recalling was the thing. So first of all, I faced away and then I'm recalling. If you're faced towards them and recalling, he's probably not going to come after me because he's going to think I'm going to hook him. But since I'm faced away, he's just going to walk up to me like an idiot. I'm going to hook him. It's going to be a free kill. No, you're only going to want to do this if you have nearby teammates, because if you're by yourself, you're just going to die. That's pretty much it for this Blitzcrank guide. Just remember to be mindful of your cooldowns and your mana in the early game. Be mindful of where your AD carry is, where the enemy minions are, so that way you can land easy hooks. If you do get ahead in lane, or if nothing's happening lane, you feel free to roam. Just keep an eye on the mini-map. I hope this Blitzcrank guide has helped you guys out in some way, shape, or form. If this Blitzcrank guide has helped you out, it'd help me out a lot if you leave a like and maybe tell me in the comments what you liked about it. If you did not like this guide, you can feel free to leave a dislike. But also, if you do leave a dislike, I would really like to know why you didn't like it and what I could improve on. Like if you wanted me to go into more detail about laning, or more detail about roams or something of that nature. Well, anyways guys, it's been me, KingStix. Hope you've enjoyed this, and peace out.